Hello. So I'm doing something slightly different today, something that I've been thinking about for a while. So I'm gonna do a series of videos about Matter, one of Iain M Banks' culture novels, probably my favourite of the culture novels. And I'm doing this because I was going to reread it anyway and do a review, like I've been doing for some of the other books that I've been reading. But when I was reading the last culture novel I read, which was Look to Windward, I realised when I was going through it and getting ready to talk about it that they're just such dense books. There's so much in them that I was just getting sad because there was like stuff in a chapter that was kind of a side note in the chapter, but these amazing ideas, and I knew that by the time it came to doing a review about the whole book I'd forget those bits. So I thought it would be kind of fun to, as I reread the book, do just a short video, kind of chapter by chapter, or maybe a few chapters at a time. I'll see how it pans out. And so this is the first one. So I'm gonna talk a bit about the book as a whole, and then I'll jump into the particular the chapter, which is the prologue. And you may have noticed that I haven't got my baby with me today. There's no Wilfie today because, well, it would be difficult to get him together and get him out again and again and again, and to fit through the increasingly narrow maze would be difficult, so I'll leave Wilfie off for now. Matter is, like I said, it's my favourite of the culture novels, probably. There's just something about it, and this read through, this is the third time that I will have read it, and I'm anticipating noticing all kinds of other things that I didn't notice the first couple of times round, because they're just that packed full of interesting little details. If you don't know anything about the culture, seriously start reading them because they're amazing. They're so good. The culture, it's like a galaxy spanning civilization, essentially ruled over by these super intelligent minds, these super powerful AIs, and anyone you can do what you want if you live in the culture. You can live the life you want to live. It can be luxurious and indulgent and hedonistic, or you can push yourself in any way you want to. You can dedicate your life to art or to exploration, or you can try and join the contact division, which are the branch of the culture that are to do with making contact with alien civilizations, or even special circumstances, which are like the special agents, the Secret Service, kind of spy service, super exciting, sometimes morally ambiguous branch of the culture. And so you can do whatever you want if you're a citizen of the culture. Basically, it's very anarchic and it's very unhierarchical, and it's essentially run by the machines. But this book, Matter, largely takes place on something called a shell world, which right off the bat, another fantastic concept, just absolutely wonderful. These shell worlds are these artifacts left over from some previous alien civilization, and no one really knows why they were made, what the purpose of them is, and they're formed of concentric layers. So each layer has a different species that lives within this layer, and there's kind of artificial stars that float around the outside of them, or the upper surface, the surface that's the floor of the level above them and is the ceiling of the level in question. And it's just such a mad idea, and this book is largely set in one of these shell worlds, and well, I'll get into it. There's a hell of a lot going on, and I'm hoping to probably make more sense of it this time than I did the previous time, because, like I say, I've probably missed bits on the first time round. So the first chapter is a prologue, and in the prologue we meet one of our central characters. We meet Jan is her name, I think, and we meet her as her and a drone are on some planet that's not part of the culture, and they're about to perform some kind of intervention against the ruling powers, and we don't get a huge amount of detail of what's going on here. We don't understand much about the planet she's on or the politics that are there. We just know that there's this army that's kind of sounds like a medieval army. There's like trebuchets and catapults and people riding on horses and pikemen and warriors of that sort, and this army's advancing, and we've got Jan and the drone, and they're just sitting there waiting for the army to come because they're about to disassemble it in a matter of seconds using a knife missile and a bit of monofilament which they can send flying over the top of the army and just wreak havoc through it. It's just such so it opens with a bang, and there's this wonderful scene where you're introduced to the culture and to Jan and to the droid. You get a sense of the relationship between the two of them. You get this kind of typical human drone duo, a typical Saki drone that's probably knows a lot more than the human, but the human is keeping them in check, maybe, or maybe they just think they're keeping them in check. And it doesn't explain why they're doing this or what the geopolitics are that they're getting involved in, or why they're stopping this faction, and I don't think it really matters. I mean, she's special circumstances, and this planet, something the culture have judged that this army is not doing something good, and so they've judged we're going to intervene, and it's for the best of the planet. And I mean, who knows who the army's going to fight and how many people they'll kill. I like that there's a mention of they're obviously trying to minimize casualties, but they know that there's going to be a few casualties. You can't make an omelette and all that. And it mentions there's like 16 casualties and maybe half of them will die, and they're not happy about it, but they don't mind overly. But you get this sense of Jan keeping the drone in check. The drone wants to just do a little bit of decapitating, maybe just get rid of the king, maybe that nasty duke, or there's some reference like that, which I thought was nice. There's also a couple of little bits foreshadowing who Jan is, and I think the drone calls her princess at one point. There's another mention about how does she have some kind of class loyalty to the dukes, which is a little dig obviously about her origin, which we'll find out later more of that as we read through the book. As always, Banks has got this elegant, quite classy style, which he doesn't use it all the time. There's like obviously sections that are very taut in the way they're written, sections which are very bloody or disgusting, or they're meant to be dark, and for the most part this isn't done in that way. It's like a bit comical, but also the writing's elegant, a nice setting of the scene of the planet that they're on, nice descriptions of little encounters. I like the way there's a scout outrider who nearly discovers the hidden position of Jan and the drone, and the drone just like casually spooks the horse by getting a knife missile to bump it in the flank and poke it. So yeah, wonderful little introduction. Reading it, I think it's just meant to give you a sense of what Jan's up to and what the culture are up to generally before the main story begins. And we'll move on to that in a moment. So if you have any thoughts about the prologue, let me know in the comments below. I mean, I don't know why I'm going through all this, because I reckon maybe who's going to want to watch a man walking through a maze, talking chapter by chapter through an Iain M Banks book, especially when there's no baby on his back. It just sounds like a recipe for disaster and no likes. But you know, apparently I meant to say hit the like button anyway, or smash it. I think you're meant to smash it, otherwise it doesn't work. So if you get a chance to smash it, that would be brilliant. Yeah, if you are one of this tiny minority of people who find this in any way amusing or diverting, please stay tuned, and I'll do the next chapter or two once I've read them. All the best.